thought to myself, one of these days I will have that. I was never encouraged to have that dream. The Bible didn't say to let other people encourage you. It said you encourage yourself. And every day I'd see new cars and I'd go over and touch them. And I'd think one of these days. Since that time, I'm on 7 new Cadillacs, new Lincoln, a new fastback Ford. In 1965, I'm on all new cars all my life. But nobody ever told me I could do that. But I know who I was. Before I was ever saved and I walked in sin, I didn't say because I'm not saved and not a godly person, I can't have this. See, we need to know who we are, not what people think we are, but who are we really. Most of our destinies are dictated by people we don't even like, and they never want you to get ahead of what they've got. When God begins to speak to you, and even in my young childhood, I knew that I was going to have a special life. I never knew it would be quite this special. I remember some of our neighbors always went to Europe every school semester when the semester was out. And they'd all go to Europe, and they would go to Paris, and they would go to France, and they would go everywhere in Europe. And I thought to myself, one of these days I'll be able to do that. I had no really reason to believe that, but in my spirit I knew that I would do that. Now I've been in 33 countries, 47 states, because I know who I am. When all my life I've been called arrogant. People would say, I met a friend not long ago, they'd known me for 20 years, and when they got to know me, the lady said, I thought you were the most arrogant man I ever met. I am not arrogant. I do know who I am. I do know where I'm going, and I've always known who I am. When I was a drunk and couldn't even walk straight, I knew where I was walking to. God has put something in our spirits to where we need to know. Jesus said, who do men say that I am? Almost as if it doesn't matter. But who do you say that I am? How many of you really know who you are? Do you know that you have a great mind? Do you know that when you were born from the seed of Abraham and from the seed of Adam, you had the knowledge of God? Your mind had the precepts and the concepts that were in there that are far beyond your understanding. You should never limit yourself to what you think you know. You should try to be something different and something special. Some of you right now have gotten older in age, but you haven't got mature because you still don't know who you are. People can say things, well, I said this to so-and-so, I hope it didn't hurt them. If you don't mean to hurt people, you have a right to voice an opinion if they ask. But what you need to do is go back and find out your core and see what you really want to be and why you want to be that. I knew from an early age I would be a minister. I never put my life aside, and I never put my life on hold until that part of my life got there. See, the problem with Christian people, they either live in the past and talk about what did happen, or they live in the future and they talk about what's going to happen because they don't know who they are. When you know who you are, you know you could accomplish things that you're not supposed to accomplish. You're supposed to do things you're not supposed to do. The knowledge that we talk about is so many people think, well, I'm not this and I'm not that. But the mind that Adam had was so brilliant that he named everything that flies and everything that swims and everything that crawls. He had the ability to make names of everything, that every animal that ever existed. He named those things. The Bible said he did. The Bible said he named those. So he was born with the intelligent mind of God. Many of us think, well, we need to learn knowledge of the man. Okay, that's good. I love to learn. But on the inside of you, you have a supernatural knowledge that you don't even understand you've got. It's not about who is my brother, who is my sister. It's about who am I. Who do you say that you are? If I were to ask you to list 5 things that would tell me who you are, what would they be? If I were to say to you, I want to know about an individual that's got your name, you can change your destiny. You can change your future. You can change your present. You can't change your past. But God is trying to say, who do men say that I am? Right now, the world is in such collusion. Everywhere we go, people are saying, well, this is wrong and that's wrong. I can't help those people. It's not my job to worry about a bunch of people that are worried about the situations that are going on, and their whole mind is glued to and fastened on what people are saying. I don't care what people say. I literally don't care what people say. You were born with a brilliant mind. You have an absolute knowledge of God. You have an absolute knowledge of things. But if you say to yourself, well, I'm not very smart, then you become that. If you say to yourself, I'm going to improve and learn every day, do you really know who you are? Do you really know what's on the inside of you? Have you become what you want to be or what other people want you to be? When Christopher, my son, first came into our life, everybody said, well, I guess you want him to be a preacher. I said, no, I absolutely don't. Not because I don't want him to be a minister. The ministry has been exemplary to me. I've had the greatest life of anybody I know that's with my present start out. But the truth of the matter is, maybe that's not what he wants. Just because you're a carpenter, don't mean your son has to be a carpenter. Let them find out who they are. Let's all find out who we really, really, really are. So many times when I say things, and I'm a very blunt person, I try to say things with love, but if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you an answer. It may be what you like, it may not be what you like, but I'm going to give you, because you asked me out of my knowledge to answer that question, I will answer it for you. But so many of you sitting here today don't ask yourself this question: who am I? How many people do you know that when you get around, you become somebody else? You become what they want you to be. You become what they have ordained or what they thought you should be. Your whole personality changes. Your whole countenance changes. Everything around you changes because you're no longer yourself. If you're not yourself, then you don't know who you are. And why would you change to please people? You should only change to please you. Things in your life that you need to change, you don't need to change them to please me. You need to change them so you can say, this is what I want to be. Some people can never be an automobile mechanic. Now, I know what's wrong with cars. My dad, when I was a kid, he worked on his old cars until I got sick of seeing the underside of a car. We'd work out till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, the grease and the dirt. I know if I listen to a car, I can tell you, well, so-and-so's wrong with it. But I knew I'd never be a mechanic. Other people love the mechanic work. So that's what they do for a living. And what I'm trying to say is, we don't know who we really are. Some of you, before you answer a question, you consider, well, if I say this, they're going to be upset. And if I say this, they're going to be upset. Well, if I say this, they're going to be hurt. So they get hurt. They'll get over it. It's like the elections, you know. We're having big fights and demonstrations. Okay, read my lips. If you're a Democrat, Hillary didn't win. If you're Republican, Donald Trump won. Get over it either way. For God's sake, it's already settled. I want to be around people that know who they are. I don't like to be around pretend people. I don't like to be around people that never know who they are. They're with this way one day and that way the other day. Sister Clemens, this is boring, it sounds like.
No, it's great.
But you don't know who you are. See, you know who your neighbor is. Well, that neighbor over there, he has loud parties. Let him have them. Insulate your house. Get a pair of earplugs. Forget about the neighbor and live your life. We have been struggling so hard. I looked the other day, there was a bunch of women half clothed saying, we're up here demonstrating for women. Well, most of the women I know don't do that. It doesn't bother me that they do that. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't care how they look. I personally think men and women both look better when they're attractively dressed. And clothes are a good hiding point for a lot of people. Just saying. You know, some people need clothes. They really need a lot of clothes. But people don't understand because we're so busy worried about everybody else that we don't live our own life. And then we wonder why we're miserable. And we wonder why we're uncomfortable. It's because you don't know who you are. I'll never forget sitting in York, Pennsylvania one night. And I'd been in a meeting when I was tired and had preached. We went to eat and we were sitting around and I was tired and I was sweaty and I just was sitting there. And this guy kept hollering, "Hey, you." And some of the people at the table said, "That man's talking to you." I said, "He's not talking to me." A few minutes he hollered, "Hey, you." He's not talking to me. In a few minutes he looked over and he said, "Sir." I said, "No, he's talking to me." See, I know who I am. Arrogant or not, I know who I am. I know what I can do. I know what I can't do. Some of you have bet so much for your family, the people that you dislike the most. Families are generally not the greatest people in your world. Sometimes you have a harder time with them than you do the biggest strangers. But you've become what they want you to become rather than what Jesus wants you to become. Do you know that every person Jesus called into the ministry was successful? Every one of them had jobs. Some was physicians, some was lawyers, some was tax collectors. They knew who they were. And when they began to follow him, he didn't change everything about them. He didn't change everything about them. When you get saved, people say, well, when you get saved, it really changes. You know what it does? It gives you an opportunity to become better at what you're doing. Some of you are listening to me tonight, and you don't know how to make decisions unless you get 12 or 14 different opinions because you don't know who you are. If you don't trust yourself, how are you going to trust anybody else? If you don't trust the decisions that you make, how are you going to trust other decisions? We so many times like to have other people in our life, not because we want advice, but because we become a very weak person that has to take advice from other people so we can blame them when things go wrong. You look at the election that just happened. Everybody's blaming everybody. Everybody's blaming everybody. Well, this one voted, that one voted. Well, the votes were wrong. This is wrong. That's wrong. You know what? Just admit it. When you lose, you lose. When you win, you win. Everywhere I turn, I find weak people that will never get around strong people. They get around the weakest they can find so they can fit into the group. I don't want to fit into the group. If I've ever called you friend and tell you you're my friend, I consider you a very fortunate person because I don't allow everybody in my world. Some of you like to say I've got 300 or 400 friends. Okay, you have. But do you know who you are in that friendship? There's only one dog that leads the pack. The rest of them are followers. When you begin to make decisions in your life, I have friends that I love. People say, well, that because they came from a place where they shouldn't have come from. They've done things they shouldn't have done, and they did it with men trying to destroy them, women trying to destroy them all the time. My first pastor told me when I went full-time into the ministry, he said, you'll never make it. You like the good life too well. But this ministry's hard. I have never found the ministry to be hard. I have never found the ministry to be hard. Why? Because it's me. I know who I am. I'm a minister of the gospel. I'm comfortable with that. All these preachers complained about how folks have treated them. Oh, this one did me that. Let me tell you about people, how people have treated me. They've given me money to pay my bills. They've given me gifts and presents they wouldn't even buy themselves. If I go to their house, they would fix me a better meal than they would fix for their own family. If they knew I was hurting and needed something and had a problem, they would sacrifice their finances or their love and send that to me and sacrifice with me and give to me because they know that I appreciate what they do. I know who I am. My father's name was Everett Clyde Couch. My mother's name was Belle Payne. But I'm not a product of them. I'm a product of what I have produced out of my own self. I love my family, but I probably have not become what they wanted me to be. I personally wanted to be an attorney, would still love to do it. But I know what I am. I'm a minister of the gospel. If you ask me who I am, I will tell you up front. Number one, I'm saved and I'm filled and I'm touched by the Spirit of God. Number two, I'm a husband. I'm a father. I love my wife and I love my son. I know who I am. I know what I like and I know what I dislike. I know who I like and I don't dislike anybody. I've never allowed anybody around my world where I would let their dislike make me discontent. If I do that, then they will control my life. Jesus said, who do people say that I am? He didn't really care. He fought the spiritual leaders. He fought the politics, everything that we're fighting today to keep Christianity alive. He fought that, and he won. He took over. He was victorious. I believe it's good to have people, good people around you. I don't believe it's good to have everybody around you. When people take your identity, they have destroyed you. When people take your identity, they have destroyed you. Because when your identity's gone, you don't know who you are. When Peter said, I can heal, I can walk on the water, he knew he couldn't. But he had that instinct in him. The people in the ship sitting beside him were probably saying, Peter, you ought to try that. But he started walking on the water because he knew who he was. He knew he was a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. And he stepped out on that water. When Peter was crucified, he said, crucify me upside down because I don't deserve the same honor they gave Jesus on the cross. Jesus said, I am that I am. He knew who he was. He knew he was a healer. He knew he was a deliverer. Do you really know who you are? How many times do you change your mind because of someone else's input? How many times do you change your destiny because you listened to someone that didn't have your best interests at heart? When you, as a child of God, as a son of God, and even if you're not saved, you need to be saved, but if you're not, you still need to know who you are. I'll never forget, I had a massive car wreck, and I had so many bones broken, my face was gone. It took me 69 days in the hospital and 2 years to learn how to walk again. And I sat at the kitchen table one night, and God had called me to preach at 3 years old. I heard him speak to me. I will send you around the world. And my daddy looked at me and at the kitchen table, I'll never forget it. And he said, why don't you just get saved? Do what you're supposed to do. And I looked at him and I said, because it's not time yet. It's not time yet. If my dad had pushed me and I saw my friends so-called get saved, and they were in one Friday and out next Saturday, I knew that I had to wait. But tonight, a few years after that, when God really spoke to me, I ran to the altars and I asked God to forgive me. So many times we push people into things they're not ready for. You've been allowing people to push you into things you're not ready for. Don't allow people to push you in a situation that will destroy you. Don't ever require another man to walk by your faith. It could destroy him. Your faith could be up here and his faith down here. As an individual, don't allow people to push you into places your faith won't let you go. There will be a time when you can step into that. But until you step into that, and you know, and Jesus said, and when he knew in himself, he did great miracles. When he knew in himself, when you know in yourself it's time, you could go do what God told you to do. Don't ever tell someone, when you pray for them, well, you need to throw all that medication away, you need to quit doing this, you need to start doing that. Your faith could kill them. If they'll hang on and trust God, that healing will come. That deliberate healing will come. I've seen God heal my body so many times that I don't even want to mention it all. I don't have the time. We'd be here till 10 or 11 o'clock today and Connor would already be gone. But God is trying to say to you, who are you? If I were to ask you, who are you really? Are you really what you want to be? Don't let people damper your goals. When you start saying things and people say, well, I just don't think we'll be able to do this, and I don't think we'll be able to do that, then you'll never do it. You'll let them take away your victory. Never get around people that don't know who they are. Because if they don't know who they are, they're satisfied with that. I remember many years ago, before I went full-time in the ministry, I've been full-time 46 years, I went to a place in Maryland to preach one night, and I was still working. And I told the people, I said, well, I'm getting ready to go full-time in the ministry. And these two guys came up to me and said, yeah, I'm getting ready to go full-time in the ministry too. I'm getting ready to go full-time in the ministry too. Now, they had been in the gospel probably 8 or 10 years then. I'm getting ready to go full-time. I saw those guys 30 years later. You know what they told me? Well, as soon as I get on my Social Security and my pension, I'm going full-time in the ministry. And I thought to myself, it's because you don't know who you are. There's not many insecurities in my life. I don't believe that insecure people can advance. I believe you have to be secure in your relationship with God, and you're not going to like this one, and your relationship with yourself. How can God teach you to be something you're not? You can't give anything anything you don't have. You have to begin to say to yourself, this is what I was born for. This is what I was ordained for. An artist has to know that they're good. They have to know they're good. And the greatest thing, and I've said this many times, I've preached 46 years full time, and I've only preached 3 messages that I liked. But that don't mean the rest of them weren't good. These were outstanding to me. And every time I get in that pulpit, every time I sit before this camera talking to you, I want to say to myself, you can do better. You can improve. Not, well, this is all of it. This is what we've done, and we're not going to do any more. Are you an improver? Are you one of those people that would love to improve your life? God wants some of you tonight, while you're listening to me, to do a check on yourself. Do you know who you are? Not do I know who you are. Do you know who you are? How much advice have you got from people and you took it, it wasn't good, and the next time you got around them, they gave you advice and you took it, it still wasn't good? How many times do you have to do that before you realize that's not working for you? When you realize who you are and what you can do, you will be amazed at what you can do if you'll just set your mind to it. We live in a small town here in Mountain City, and I look at the people all the time and I think, how sad. How sad. Somebody will say, well, I never had a break. No, you don't get a break sitting home. I see people use all kinds of things and excuses why they haven't advanced in life. Well, I was born on the wrong side of the track. Well, move. Well, I was born with my mom and my dad was this. That doesn't matter who your mother and dad was. Who are you? What are you doing? When God begins to take your mind, it can't be expanded unless you expand it. I look at this small town and I see people that have never been out of this town. I took a man one time, we were pastoring here in town, and we were going to Boone, and we were having a big dinner for a church, and I, unlike most people, don't believe the church women have to cook all the meals for the people that are going to be there. I think they ought to rest too. So we all went over to the Boone Trail Inn or whatever it's called, a beautiful dinner, the service, a beautiful dinner. And this old man got in the back of the car and he first said, Christians love this. Well, I can't afford to go. I said, I'll pay for your way. I'll put you in the back of my car and take you. So we got in the car. Oh, I can't ride the back seat of the car. Have you ever noticed people that don't have cars have to decide where they're going to ride? Does it make any sense to you? Well, let's just leave him. I just thought I'd bring it up. So we're going to Boone, which is 18 miles away from here. He looked over and he said, oh, Lord, preacher. I haven't been over to Boone 40 years. I haven't been out of Mountain City in 40 years. It's the first time I've been over here in 40 years. I said, well, it may have changed a little bit. And he began to tell me why he hadn't been out. Well, you know, I never could do this. You know what? It is amazing to me the excuses people use to be who they are. When we got him into the restaurant, I don't like this. They had 3 or 4 different kind of meats we could choose from. And I told him, I said, bro, just eat something. And my thoughts were, I don't care where you eat or not. My belly's going to be full when I leave. See, we get around these people and we try to, have you ever been around really poor people and they start talking about what you've got and the first thing you know, you're almost ashamed of it? They could have done it too. They could do. People can be what they want to be. I'm going to leave you with this thought today, and I want to leave a couple more thoughts before I leave. But who are you really? And most of you have to say, I'm self-made. Some of you, God worked on you before you ever got saved. He started dealing with you before you ever walked to that altar. Who are you? Well, my daddy this and my mommy that. No, they didn't have anything to do with it. You have to decide to pull away and be what you want to be. Be what you want to be. I want to pray in a moment. First, I want to say something. I want to say to you that I am so sick and tired of all the hate and all the criticism in the world of everybody. I'm sick of it. I told God today, I said, God, our world is so divided. It's so separated. And the Lord spoke to me. He said, I told you I would separate brothers from brothers, sisters from sisters. And we're seeing the time of God where we have to know who we are. There's no use in arguing with fanatical people. When I see 2 people arguing, I see 2 fools talking about things they don't know anything about. So I want to ask you to do me a favor. Quit fussing and arguing and quit hating people. Mr. Obama wasn't my president. I honored the office. Probably if I met the man, I'd probably like him. But a lot of his policies I didn't like. A lot of his policies I didn't like. Mr. Trump, a lot of people, if I met him, I'd probably like him. I like the things he's doing. But why are we fussing about it? You know why? Because we let other people dictate to us what we should think. And we need to stop that. I want you to start making your plans for our great camp meeting this year in August. It's going to be phenomenal. Brother Steve Warren's going to be with us singing. Sister Glenda's going to be there doing all the work, and I'm going to be getting all the glory. But we want you to start making your plans now. And I want to say this to you. I would love for you to reach out and help us financially this month. You can write to Post Office Box 28, Mountain City, Tennessee, zip code 37683. You can go to my PayPal. If you put money on my PayPal, I have it the next day. They only take about 2%, which is cheaper than you writing a check most of the time. If you can do something to help us, I want you to do it. I want you to pray about us. I want you to pray about it, doing things more for God. I want to do more this year than I've done any other year. We're getting ready to do some new things with the website and with Blog State. Brother Connor was telling me about it a moment ago. We're going to do a lot of new things, so it'll keep you 24 hours a day. You can make your comments. You can look at our disc and make comments. You can do anything you want to do. But I believe that if you find out who you are, you'll be a lot better person. I've missed you the past few weeks. We're going to do our very best to be here every Monday night. I want to start teaching on my next Monday night. I want to start teaching about the spiritual life, how you spirits enter into you, how you attract spirits, how you can catch spirits, what kind of people to be around, what kind of spirits you should be around. But I want to talk to you about that. Before we go, we want to pray. I want to pray. I want you to stick your hands toward me, and as I pray for you, I want you to pray for me. Father, every person under the sound of my voice, whether it be finances, please, please, God, let every person that needs financial blessings, let them come into their very being. Let healing hit these people from the top of their head to the soles of their feet. Let joy and peace reign like it's never rained before. Let the glory of God overshadow these people. And everywhere they go, let people bless them. Everywhere they go, let blessings flow through them. God, those that are in the hospital and those that are watching, heal their bodies. Do something special. I know who you are, God. You're the great I am, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And you said bread. Your healing was like bread to your children. Father, I ask that you'll go everywhere I'm speaking tonight. Those that'll watch it later, I pray that you heal. It is so important that we be blessed, prosperity and prospering in this day and time. You said in the last days, the riches of the unrighteous and the ungodly will be given to the righteous. God, I pray that money will flow like a river in our lives. I pray that everything that we touch and do, every person listening, that money will flow through. Meet ministry needs, meet financial needs, meet home needs. Everywhere, God, let healing flow. And I believe it and claim it all in the name of Jesus. I want to be listening for me, and I want you to go to my website. We're going to put up on the website in the next couple of hours, couple of days, my message on the rose done in Ralph Hart's church in Detroit, Michigan. This message will change you and touch you. I love you. We love you. May God bless you. Please contact me some way. Most of you can go to my home page. Most of you have my Gmail address. My email address is on my home page. My PayPal is there. Just click PayPal. Put in your credit card. Put in how much you want. I would ask some of you to do it monthly for me. It would be great. If all the people I know give $50 a month, it'd be thousands and thousands of dollars. Whatever you can do this month, please don't hesitate. Please do it. May God bless you. Remember this. If God hadn't been with you, you wouldn't have made it this far. God bless you.